And today I am very excited to announce that BetterHelp is now sponsoring this podcast. I have had 7 years of therapy, so I know it can help change your life if you not only let it, but work on the personal goals that you set with your therapist. Without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy works. But what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles and start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's more affordable than in person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are the greatest asset. And special offering to listeners of Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/. I'll put in the link in the podcast description for you. That's BetterHelp, HELEP. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast. Hi, I am Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the NVLD Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NVLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NVLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NVLD project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoyed today's episodes. The next Facebook chat for people with NVLD and the people who support them, and also people with other learning challenges like ADHD, will be in January on the third Saturday, which is going to be January 15th, and that will be at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone, and it usually goes until 11:30. Sometimes I end it sooner depending on my schedule of the day. And basically that is a group where you can talk about anything you want to, and it is a safe space for you to talk about challenges related to the learning disability that you have or related to your life. And I invite you to come to it by emailing me at livingwithnld@gmail.com or going to Living with NLD. on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter and letting me know that you are going to be coming by messaging me. Thank you. And again, it is in January on the 15th, which is the third Saturday of the month at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone. Thanks. Hello. So today is the second part of Ryan's interview. Again, he is a NVLD project social ambassador, which means that you help promote the NVLD project and you do a quarterly blog, and you also help with fundraisers for the NVLD project, and you help with promoting what they do, which is helping provide resources for NVLD and helping do more research on it as well so that it can get back on the DSM. Excuse me. I hope you will enjoy the second part of Ryan's interview.
So the next question would be, do you ever wish you didn't have NLD?
Yes. I wish sometimes I didn't have it because it's a pain sometimes to just explain it to people. But that's why I'm proud now to explain it and get my awareness. That's why it's taken me so long to open up, because I was scared. I'm always jealous of other people and what they do, especially at my age. I'm 35. Um, that people are getting married, having kids, and I'm just thinking, like, why not me? When is it my turn? I understand there's no certain age to do that, but if I see people's pictures on Facebook or social media, which I could also get very obsessive with, I have to set a timer for, which I've been doing better in the new year, limiting my time on social media. I would get jealous of them and then try to maybe contact them and be like, hey, congratulations on this or that. And I'll get frustrated if they didn't get back to me on that. So on that aspect, yeah, I do regret sometimes having it.
Yeah, I can relate to that with getting jealous because, like you said, there's no right, or I guess you could say magical age to get married or be dating. Um, I'm 24, I'll be 25 in April. So um, I, my two friends that are girls, one of them's dating, one of them has a fiance. So I can relate to you with that, where you were saying you might look on social media and see pictures of people that you know with a significant other and be jealous of them, and but at the same time be happy for them and congratulate them. So I can definitely relate to that and be like, like you were saying, why not me? And um, I know for me, whenever I reflect on that right now, I know presently I'm not doing it because of COVID, because I live with my parents. I don't want to um, expose them to anything with COVID, um, because with young people, they can be asymptomatic, meaning that they can have symptoms and not know that they have them. Um, and I would feel better after getting the vaccine and knowing that I'm protected, and that also the other person having had the vaccine, uh, to do that, so that um, I'm protecting myself and other people around me. Um, and I would say the other times I wish I didn't have NLD would be when uh, yeah, when it's hard to explain it to somebody, because sometimes I don't think I run into this, but I know sometimes people run into it where they're trying to explain to somebody and they say, oh, it's similar to autism. And yeah, it is similar in terms of the social piece, but I think that might be the only place it's similar. Um, you know, I would say it's different because people with autism are usually good at math, or good at math when it has science in it, or science when it has math in it. And, people with NLD are not usually good at math. And I know for me, I also wasn't good at science when it had math in it, like chemistry and physics. So, but if it was earth science or biology, I was fine because there was no math. Um, so yeah, I can relate to what you said about that. And the next question kind of relates to this one, where if you feel like it might be a burden to you.
The burden every day. Just wake up and feel like sometimes I wish I couldn't have it, just struggling with daily things. But I mean, over the years, I've gotten better because I had a good support system, and got to give my parents credit for that, like I said earlier, and therapists, and my sister, and tutors, and teachers, close friends, for understanding, for being a good, like you said, um, to vent to them, which I do a lot. And I don't want, sometimes I actually overdo it, and then I apologize to them for venting too much, but it makes me feel better to talk it out or work it out in the gym, to get my stress away. But yeah, it's definitely a burden, and it will always be with me, obviously. You can't get rid of it, but it helps me now to just talk about it.
Right. Yeah, I can relate with that, where, you wake up and you go about your day, and you may not think about it until you run into a challenge that is related to NLD. I definitely can relate to you, where um you were saying about the venting, where you might accidentally do it too much, and you're like, oops, I didn't mean to do that. And you know i I think that's okay, because you know your friend might do that once in a while also, or your family member, and then you're like, oh, touche. So um you know that, like I said, that can happen. And um I think for me, um whenever I feel down about having it, um usually my family notices when that happens, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, not really." And they're like, "Is it NLD?" I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And they're like, "We know you." And then they help remind me about how much I've gotten better at certain things, like the social cues, or just all the great work I've done with the podcast. And I gotta thank the audience with the different feedback they've given me. Um, I'm not going to mention any names for privacy reasons, but there's been different feedback with just, saying that they really like the podcast because it helps them relate to things about NLD, or they just really like it because of how open I am on it, or the quality of it, or just the different episodes. So, thank you for saying that, because I do do a lot of work with it, and I want to make it be good. So I appreciate that. Um, and so the next question would be, what do you want to tell others who have NLD as a motivation for them when they get discouraged?
I would say to them, don't be afraid to share your story with your parents. Um, I've I've opened up a lot. You know, you have to have your good support system. That's key. Support system, whether it be friends, family, any type of family, aunts, uncles. You could do like your close neighbor, relative, whatever it may be. That I would say, don't be afraid of it. It makes people who they are. NLD NVLD has its strengths, and they should be proud of who they are and what they have, and just open to more people and tell more people. Try to explain it about it. There are tough days where they might cry, like I do sometimes at night. Might get depressed, which I have a lot in the past. Just just be proud of who you are and the accomplishments that you have, and that even though some days you don't want to have it, it's a blessing in the end to raise more awareness about it. And that's why I'm here and you're here, and other people are going to raise more awareness about it so we can build a strong community to let everybody know.
Yeah, I would agree with what you said, Ryan, about telling people about it, about NVLD, and encouraging um, others who have NVLD to tell their family or to tell their friends or to tell others who have NVLD as well, because um, sharing it with people who have it is a great thing because you know like you and me, we're talking about the common thing of having NVLD, and it's great to do that because it, it's easy, or I can say it's easier because we can connect on that. And um, being able to talk to other people who are neurotypicals is also good because then they can become part of the support system and help us out when we need support and when we need maybe a shoulder to cry on, or a helping hand with something, or maybe something or somebody to talk to about some ideas that we might have. Um, or maybe when we need help with one of the challenges that might be related to NVLD. So I think that's definitely um, good to share it with other people. Um, what would you tell people who don't know they have NVLD but suspect they might?
I would tell them to get tested as soon as you can, um, because it's a not known, I don't want to say disease, but I'll say disability, not known disability. That's a better way to put it. And because personally, I have some traits of Asperger's and autism, but I don't have that. And I also have some traits of ADD, but I was not diagnosed with that. So I would tell them to get tested as soon as possible to know the exact diagnosis, to know if you actually have NVLD or not, because you could have like autism, you could have Asperger's, you could have ADD. You don't know till you get tested. I remember the test was not easy, but that's why you're getting tested. You shouldn't feel frustrated on the test. Like I felt frustrated getting tested. I'm like, this is horrible. I can't do this math, or these questions are terrible. Why am I going to this? Why do my parents even? But in the end, it helps you.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what you said. I would agree. Go get tested for whatever it is, whether it's NVLD, ADHD, autism, Asperger's, you name it, whatever learning challenge or learning disability it may be. um, because, like you were saying, it's better to do it earlier rather than later. Or, you know, even if you do it later rather than never, because it will help you have a easier life than if you never knew you have had NVLD or whatever learning challenge you wind up learning that you have. Um, because then you learn more about uh, NVLD, if it is that, or Asperger's, or autism, or ADHD, if it's one of those. And you learn more about yourself, and you also learn how to help yourself, and other people learn how to help you with it. And you're able to, um, like you were saying when you were doing the test, I was frustrated too. Um, I think for me, I remember when I was taking the tests, I was always kind of interested in, okay, what were the results going to be? Because, um, it wasn't like an academic test. It was different in where I knew it was going to show me a part of myself that I didn't know um, something about. And so I was curious about that, and curious in terms of what it would show. And so that was kind of interesting for me. And I think for me, uh, I do remember the math ones being difficult because of trying to do that much math and the amount of time I was given. Um, but yeah, definitely trying to do the testing um, whenever you can is a good point. Um, and then I think the other part we wanted to talk about was um, the business idea that I had for the podcast, right?
So we were going back and forth, and I was asking you um, how you wanted to, what your end result would be in the end. And you were saying you would like to do, uh, or we both were saying, well, you had the idea, and then like I was piggybacking on some ideas um, of starting a nonprofit. And you can explain it more, but a nonprofit for having being like the resource hub for people with NVLD and their parents and families, and have more like meetups and retreats and promoting it more.
Right.
So can you explain to the listeners more about what your idea was and how we're brainstorming it together, and then we can talk about that?
Of course. Yeah. So you did a good job of starting it off. So yeah, my idea would be to um, create a nonprofit where, like you were saying, it's a resource hub for people who have NVLD and for their family members as well. Where, let's say, if they wanted somebody who is a job coach or personal finance coach or a therapist, and it could be more than just that, but those are some examples, and they can come to me or Ryan because he wants to help out with this. And we can say, hey, we know somebody who is in one of those fields, and we can refer them to that person and connect them with that person. And then they would be helping them out because that person would be specialized in helping people out with NVLD, and also would be able to help them out in a special way because, let's say you have a challenge with budgeting money. So you would get a personal finance coach who knows how to help somebody who has NVLD and is good with money. So that is an example. And I think the nonprofit is a good idea because then we can get donations um, from people and or from companies as well, and be able to like Ryan was saying, do some retreats and meetups with people. And the retreats could be, like um, once it's more safe with COVID, doing like camping or some fun outdoor events like archery or maybe fishing um, or horseback riding or something like that. You know, um, it might depend on the location, what those events may be. Um, or maybe some canoeing or something like that if there's a lake. Um, and I think Ryan had some other ideas if he wants to share them as well.
Sure. Definitely also, I want to build like a brand. Um, I know they have the NVLD project, which I want to give credit for starting, doing a lot of research already, and they have a great site and great people. And I definitely would follow them, nvldproject.org. They're all over social media, so anybody listen to this, take a follow them in any social media that you have or people that you know of. Definitely, they're good resources. My ideas were so people that we would do like Jen said, we would do like meetup groups, which Jen already has one, but different states, or we'd have like regions. Also, we have like merchandise um, going on with the retreats. Um, Definitely just we're trying to get more awareness out there, and for like I'm opening up about NVLD, but we want to make it to where people feel really comfortable so they can go to the organization and they can have everything. They can have they can talk about their story, they can meet up with people who have NLD, they can do socialization, because part of NVLD is they're socializing, is they don't get cues. So it can be, but also we would like to invite the community. So that's where we get in the businesses with the donations. And the more awareness we can create, the more better the nonprofit can be, and the more we can really impact the world. So that's the idea behind the nonprofit. I don't know if Jen, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just a little. I like what you added, Ryan, with the social piece, but also I was thinking the podcast is a resource in itself where um, people who might be therapists can use it, because if they have a client who has NVLD, they can use it and help them be like, if they have a specific challenge, like if it was maybe with social cues or body language, they could go listen to the episode about that. Or if it was an episode about um, fine motor skills or trying to make friends, they could listen to one of those episodes. So,
I do remember something else
yeah.
that we talked about that you actually was your idea. So people with, I just said people can share their story. You can actually help them create a podcast like you're doing, and so they can get their self out there too. So you would help them, or since you know how to do it and you have it firsthand, you started it, how to get your story out there, create a podcast, really develop themselves.
Right, Ryan, you're correct. I recently thought of that idea where if they want to create a podcast, they can, or I can interview them like I'm interviewing Ryan right now, and they can be on the podcast. And, that's if they just want to do one episode. But if they want to create their own podcast about their life with NVLD, like I did, then I can help them with that and be able to do that because, um, like you said, I have the experience of doing that. So I think I'm excited about this idea, and I think it's a an idea that is something that could really help people with NBLD and their parents and their other family members and friends around them. And
Like, this was a great connection, connecting to you, and we're really going to make a difference in the world. And you never know who you're going to meet. So if anybody's out there has NVLD, check out the podcast. Also check out the NVLDproject.org. Also feel free to come to the virtual group once a month. Jen, you can email them or they can email you. You can give them your email if you like, and we'll make this thing happen one day. It won't happen tomorrow, but like you said, you gotta plan for things in your life. You gotta write things down, especially. Oh, that brings me. I forgot to talk about this. Organization. So I'm not an organized person. I wasn't organized. Over the years, I've become organized, and the more you write it down and have calendars and look at it and really envision your goal and idea, you can do it. So that's what we hope to do.
right, the more you, like you were saying, the more you write down goals, the easier it is to um, achieve them and accomplish them, and being able to um, work your way towards them one day at a time and one step at a time.
Right.
So thank you, Ryan, for coming on to the podcast and letting me interview you today. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and everybody listening. Don't forget to follow Jen and the work she's doing. Also follow the NVLD project, and just stay safe, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you. I do have a website for this podcast. It is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page for this podcast. It is called Living with NLD. I will include the links for those in the description. In conclusion, I would like to hear from my audience. If you know individuals with NLD that I could interview for this podcast, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com. What are you interested in learning about NLD? I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. I would like you to practice journaling about your gifts and differences. Also see if there is a way that you can make that difference become easier for you to do than it originally was. Thank you for listening today, and please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Thank you. Bye.